In their campaign manifesto, President Ruto's administration touted the Hustler Fund as the silver bullet to address the plight of many Kenyans, especially those in the informal sector who make the majority of those considered as the hustlers. Now, this far, even after the launch of the Hustler Fund, many Kenyans continue to vent their frustrations with the fund, and it is for that reason that here on Business Glide, on this particular edition, we want to really know what is literally happening. Where are they going wrong with the fund? And what did Kenyans expect vis-a-vis what was given to them by Ruto's administration? My name is Richard Mwenje. Such a pleasure to have you on this particular edition. And with me is none other than East Africa's renowned public scholar and most sought-after political analyst, the first of his name, Herman Manyora. Great to see you, sir.
There are too many. Most of them are wrong.
Not wrong.
And I'm international.
A low-key billionaire without all those?
I'm international, not East African. Why are you confining me in a small space?
Bill Gates was here. You never met him.
This is small. I don't meet crooks like Bill Gates.
Really?
Yeah.
From a poor third world country, you can't meet such a guy?
No, I don't.
All right, sir. No worries.
I agree with his thinking and his approaches to things like GMO and medicine and human population. I disagree with Bill Gates on almost everything.
I see.
Yeah.
You have little respect for
money.
money.
I'm so surprised that professors, you can sit at the university and professors can challenge him on things. I'm so disappointed. I'm happy I didn't go there.
I see.
Yes.
We'll get that discussion in a while when we're talking matters climate change. Particularly for this particular edition, we are talking about the Hustler Fund. Very recently, the president launched the project. Yes. You will be surprised with this. Barely 24 hours after the launch, over 1.14 million Kenyan had actually subscribed to the fund. Now, when you look at such figures, yes, and all those many Kenyans who've been into gambling and actually looking for such overdraft facilities, what does it tell from a general standpoint of Kenya's the appetite for loans? Is it a worrying thing, or it's such a good thing when you're looking at matters financial inclusion?
You know, people have been pushed down the drain. So down there, they have been debased and used and abused so much that we have become a nation of gamblers, or people who want free things, or people who think you can suddenly become rich. So basically, that's what you are seeing.
But then again, this fund came on board, but it's somewhat giving a window of opportunity for Kenyans who've been listed on the Credit Reference Bureau, that's CRB, to get another lease of life when it comes to borrowing. For that particular reason, don't you think this should actually be the welcoming part from many Kenyans, unlike all other issues that people are taking with the fund?
You know, Fuliza is not borrowing.
Hustler Fund.
Hustler Fund is Fuliza, and Fuliza is not supposed to be borrowing. It's a simple overdraft facility. Of course, in the hands of private players, like those running Fuliza, Mshwari, and
Tala and all that.
Tala and all these other KCB and Pesa. Of course, they are a little high on the interest. Actually, they have immoral interests. So one would have expected, even if government wanted to join the Fuliza train, they will first understand the situation so that they do not fall in line, so that they are just like the other Fuliza people.
But 8% per annum is such quite an affordable and actually the only low-key interest rate in the entire country.
Yes.
Don't you think the government actually made right steps with regards to giving affordable credit?
Well, if you were to give 8% per annum, then that would be a good idea. But is that what they are giving? I don't know. Have you borrowed?
My limit is too low.
Have you borrowed? You know, Fuliza is giving almost 3,600% per annum. Are you telling me this Fuliza of government is giving 8% for the duration you have borrowed, or per annum? I'm not sure. Fuliza, if you calculate Fuliza, it gets to about 3,600 per annum. And the Ruto was crying about it. And when he somehow appeared in their function, government was so happy, and the Tumbi and the rest were jumping like toads all over the place, celebrating that we have delivered on Fuliza. So Fuliza now had reduced by 50%. to 1,800 per annum. That's what they were celebrating. Forget about the fact that it is if you paid within the stipulated time of 14 days, whatever it was. Even me, I have Fuliza. I don't pay during. I only pay when the money comes on my phone. That's the time I clear my Fuliza. So I can take now in the next 3 minutes, money is on my phone, I have cleared. But I can also take today and 30 days I haven't received money.
I see.
And therefore, even if that was the understanding, 1,800% is what Itumbi and the president were telling us to celebrate. So this one of theirs, I've had issues, you know. I've had a funeral in my hands. Somebody in the family, as you know. I've not had time to look at the Fuliza thing very well. But I'm making it a point of doing so very soon.
Duly noted, sir.
Yes.
But this far, your man was lived for quite a long in this.
But let me say something. If you were to give Fuliza, government Fuliza, and I'm going to do, in the next 30 minutes, I will have read everything. If you were to do Fuliza at 8% per annum, it is not sustained. It's not even workable. Because this is a high-risk group. The default rate is so high.
So worrying.
That if you were to give it at 8% per annum, and you put down 50 billion in the fund, within 6 months at most, you'll have zero money. All of it will have gone. This is high risk. No,
put in measures.
Look here, this is money without collateral, surety.
Yeah.
No collateral.
True.
No serious vetting. No records required. Giving such a ridiculously low levels like 500 shillings for which you can't do business to be able to repay. When you look at those risk factors, any beginner student in banking will tell you is not workable.
But then again, to address
it's not
that,
possible. Absolutely not possible.
There is a jail term attached to it.
8% to such a high-risk group. The 50 billion will be depleted in less than a year.
Don't you think the jail term will now instill the much-needed fiscal discipline?
What?
The jail term attached to the
Who will jail anybody? How can you jail everybody? Everybody will be jailed. Where are the jails? So they should begin by putting up jails. Prisons in which to put Fuliza defaulters. This government Fuliza will put everybody in jail.
Enough.
Kama sisi hatulipi Fuliza na tuko na pesa kidogo, itakuwa ni raia kutoka Luombei.
I see.
Mimi nakaa na Fuliza. Tunakaa na Tala mpaka tunawekwa credit reference bureau. Sisi. Sasa itakuwa ni raia.
Don't you think you yourself, yes, Edwin Sifuna and Babu Owino, these legislators, actually inciting Kenyans not to consider much financial discipline with regard to this particular fund? They have said Kenyans should not pay, and actually that Kenyans can't afford
I am asking Kenyans to pay. But I'm just wondering, if you give somebody 500 shillings, what business will he do to pay in 14 days?
Charlene Ruto started smoky business and eggs. She told that.
Please, leave that. That's an insult to Kenyans.
Seed capital.
That's an insult to Kenyans. You know, one day, I met a friend of mine, outside the Jomo Kenyatta University Library, if I remember well, or Anniversary Towers, one of those. He was a schoolmate. He was my mono. His father was an assistant minister. And he's Kalenji. God rest his soul, is now dead. He even became an MP at some point. He's Kalenji. So when he came to school, we were planning with some Luya boys how to monolize him. And he came crying and fell in my feet and began talking Kiluya. I hadn't grown up at home, so I didn't know there was this Kalenjin Luya in my place. I met this guy many years later, and he told me he was doing so well. He was very successful. And he has worked so hard. I told him, please, my friend, don't say that. That's an insult to us. When your father has 10,000 acres and he can give you 1,000, and you use his tractors and harvesters to plant the wheat or maize, and when you harvest, because of your father's name, when other farmers are queuing,
at national
being harassed about moisture content, the transporter has left the maize there, rain is coming, you are number one, direct. They can't tell me. So Charlene Ruto cannot come and tell us she got anything working. That's an insult to Kenyans.
We'll get back to that in our next conversation. Yes. But then again, sir, as I was saying, you've been in this country for long enough. We've had the Women Enterprise Fund, the Youth Fund, Uwezo Fund, and a number of funds in there being allocated by the government. Yes. Now, do you support the argument that all these funds should have been consolidated into one and made much impactful for Kenyans, other than creating a different fund, which is Hustler Fund, which many Kenyans don't actually see the difference between them and other funds that have existed before? Do you think there's a difference?
Two things. Number one, I said when people are excited about the Hustler Fund, I said it was rubbish. I still say it's rubbish. Because we have had all sorts of funds from the 1960s. Grants free, given to women groups to start chicken farming, layers, to do dairy farming. I've seen all this. They have never worked. One would need to ask, number two, one would need to ask themselves why, before you introduce the Hustler Fund, this Fuliza. And we have not been able to find out why. And I'm going to give you the reason.
All right.
I enrolled for my master's degree when I was a mature man. In my class, there was a man from Saudi. There is always this standing arrangement between the Arab League or something with the University of Nairobi in the teaching of Arabic. So they always bring guys. So that guy had come to teach Arabic, but he joined our master's class. And when he told us about his salary, then about in dollars, you know, a dollar then was about 20 shillings, I can't remember, 20 or, yeah, 20 something shillings.
Interesting.
And so he said he was earning 200,000. Yeah, dollar was 20 shillings, I think, at home. But because he was in Kenya, that was doubled to 400. So people in class were like, ah. But the most striking thing that's relevant to this, they were asking, so what business do you do? The mind of a Kenyan is that you must hustle. You must do some business. Everybody in the office is selling mandazi, selling what, mutumba, everybody. We think every time you have a shilling, you must push it into
a side hustle must be there.
But what he told us, and the rest of my class didn't get, he told us he has enough money. That money was enough for him with his children and to retire. What happens in other countries? You earn a salary. You retire and get a pension, and you live on your pension. While you are earning and working, after like 5 or 10 years of working, you embark on a mortgage. And if you are lucky, depending on your class, how your level, you can then have a flat of your own. Now, what is the missing link in this country? And you can stop there. The missing link is simple. We've inherited Mzungu salary for Africans. It's not a living wage. The starting point is for Kenyans to be paid salaries on which you can live, take your children to school, save for your retirement, so that you don't see every opportunity in selling mandazi. That is a starting point. And empowering the farmer to make a living out of farming. For now, is nothing. So once you get people engaged in livelihoods like farming, you make it productive. You make salaried people have gainful employment. In other words, you can live on your salary and retire. Everybody thinking they can do business will disappear. That's how I was laughing at David indeed. When you're saying at the pyramid there's 10 million people down there, they will be given Fuliza, the so-called Hustler Fund. I said, this guy, where does he live? Do you think everybody wants to be a businessman? In any case, do you think anybody can do business successfully? So, the whole idea is either by people who are out to use tricks to get Kenyans to vote for them, which is normal in politics, or they are utterly ignorant about the situation.
I see.
So the Hustler Fund is just either a game. I must be careful with the words because now it is associated with the president. It's either a game or is born out of ignorance.
But then again, this particular fund, if you are looking at access to credit and compare it now with the likes of Uwezo Fund, Youth, Women Enterprise Fund, and all those funds that have been there before, this one is so less on credit access bureaucracies. No guarantor needed, no security. You can access it via your phone very easily within no time. Don't you think the government has made the right steps towards...
That's now a handout. And I can understand when Sifuna and who else
Babu Owino
tell people not to pay, because it's a handout. You cannot talk of credit without first assessing the capacity of an individual. Not just to pay, to engage in an economic activity that can then generate the funds to repay. In fact, assessment is not so much that you can pay. It's so much on what are you doing. What is your capacity in doing what you say you are going to do? Because I can go for a loan. I can pay 100,000 per month, maybe. They don't look at that. They look at what is it you are doing. Does it convince them? Which loan is this you are giving somebody and calling it credit without knowing the ability to do business? Secondly, which business is this you can do with those ridiculously low figures of 500, 1,000 they are giving? There's no business. So, I understand when Babu Owino and Sifuna said it's just a handout. Kuleni piga kura mulipiga, munarudishiwa mkono.
But then again, in the interest of time, when it comes to this particular fund in here, the president promised his supporters that once he gets into office, it will be delivered within the first 100 days into office. Here it is. He has actually delivered it.
No interest, they said.
Yeah. All right. But then again, somewhat, it has seen the light of the day through Chelugui, the CS cooperatives. Don't you think Ruto has just rubber-stamped that all those other promises he made to the hustlers, in as much as they might not come in the exact form that he promised, they'll still come in the fullness of time before 5 years?
What is coming? I've told you I've not understood this hustler fund. But I'm telling you it's a handout. It's a handout because, first of all, the person you are giving, you don't know whether he has the capacity to pay, what the business is doing. Secondly, the money you are giving him cannot be money somebody can do a business with. Thirdly, it is free money because it has no interest. 8% per annum. Because I don't know. You are saying, what people say.
True.
But need to read it. 8% per annum.
Maximum of 50,000.
How much are you supposed to pay on 500 shillings in 14 days? It can't even be 1 shilling perhaps.
Actually, 0.0219, about there.
So, and then with the default rate, because of the vet, there's a word, vetting or what? There's a word. The
credit score and all that.
Credit rating, because of the credit rating, is not there. You don't know who you are giving. Somebody just has a Safaricom number.
And can dial 254.
Default rate will be 99%. So can you call it a loan facility? No. It's a handout.
I see. Yeah. Well, that point by Herman Manyora takes us to this wrap on this particular conversation, touching on matters the Hustlers Fund, its feasibility, and the uptake this far. Many Kenyans have actually subscribed to the loan facility. Wait to see how in the near future it will impact their lives. Herman Manyora literally is very skeptical on how the loan
I've also subscribed. I'm waiting. Yeah.
I'm waiting for my
limit. I've done twice. I hear you have done like 10 times. I've done twice. I'm waiting for my loan limit. But I hear most of my people, I see most of my friends have got 500. But once I get my 500, I'll apply for it.
Those in your circle are getting 500?
Yes.
Then what will Simon Irungu get?
50 bob.
All right, time for our fan of the week. It is this particular our big time fan who reached out to me via Twitter called Boaz Bongoko here in Nairobi.
Boaz Bongoko, thank you very much for being part of this family. Thank you very much, Boaz.
All right, until next time on Business Glide, my name is Richard Mwenja. Such a pleasure. Up next on your screen is the Business Glide African Proverb of the Day.